That's what? I just got a I found myself.
Hello. Good morning, y'all.
Morning.
How's everybody going? Woo! Who wants to read this on the screen for me? Where's the volume?
We achieve more when we chase the dream instead of the competition.
There you go. Anybody have anything they're grateful for today? What you got, Kevin?
New size.
Why?
Helping you with the kids in the house.
That's good. Helping with the kids. That's helpful. Who else? Any
Listings.
Listings. Listings coming. Third week of January. This is when it starts to get real. Anybody gotten a call from a buyer this week thinking about looking for a home maybe in the summer? It's a lot. That's awesome. This is when they start rolling in. But if you start soon, if you start now, then they'll a lot of times they'll be closed by March. What else? Gratitudes?
Happy the sun's out.
Happy the sun's out.
Yeah. And it's not 26 degrees.
And it's only 27 degrees. Anything else? All right. Hunter, you have anything? Nope. I'm good. I'm feeling good. All right. Keep moving. All right. Bobby is going to quickly go over some education calendar and what we've got coming up.
Thanks, Zach. I'm really excited about what this month, 2 more weeks, has in store. So tomorrow, which is Wednesday for y'all, from 2 to 3, Phil Cabucci is going to be here from BAM to talk about social media and how to develop your personal, individual brand and look more professional while delivering your own identity. How does that sound? So he's got some good ideas. So I think you should be here 2 to 3 tomorrow. Then we have on Thursday VMint training with Brent Cooper. And right after that, well, there's a break. He's from 11 to 12, and then we're going to have Anna do, Anna, you're going to do from 12:30 to 1:30. So you get to have lunch. You're going to learn how to do VMint if you're new to Village or new an agent. And Brent is going to do that, right, Brent? Yeah, and then Anna Altic's going to do transaction desk. And that's really probably for more brand new agents. If you don't know how to do transaction desk or work in that field, you're going to need to survive. And then that is on Thursday. Then next Tuesday, we're going to have a bonus talk. We're not going to have a sales meeting, correct?
Correct.
Correct, but we are going to have at 10 o'clock, our own Danielle Helling is going to show you how to do property reviews. That is a good lead generation and a way to stay in touch with your clients. And that's a powerful Ninja tool. So if you don't have to have been to Ninja to know how to do this or learn how to do it. So that is next week. That's next Tuesday. And then I do want to say that on Friday, February 1st, which is next week, believe it or not, Next Friday is February, not this Friday, the next is February 1st, and I will be doing a coffee talk with Andy Allen. So Andy, get ready. You saw what Zach did. We're going to have to top that. It was pretty great. How many of you saw the coffee with Zach? Wasn't he fabulous? He was.
Who knew that Bobby had a pet cow? Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, just a reminder, no sales meeting next week. We're going to resume that on the 1st February in Tuesday, which is Tuesday, February 5th, 9:15. We've got some new experienced agents that have joined us. So, Colin, I'll let you introduce them.
Yeah, everybody give a warm welcome to Amy Hayes. Joining us here at Hillsborough Village. Stephanie Goodwin at WeHo. Sydney McCann here at Hillsborough Village. And Candy Hensler here at Hillsborough Village. I think she was sort of behind the wall right now. If you see these guys in the hallway, just introduce yourselves and welcome them to Village, and let's give them all a big round of applause.
Good. Let's see here. We've got some other stuff coming out from these partners coming soon, probably next week. But Connie, I'll let you just hit on rates real quick. Any updates?
Rates are actually holding pretty steady, so still very low. You know, again, it's really a great time to people are kind of on the fence to mention these rates are still very, very low. So right now they're holding steady. So that's nice.
All right, so 4.5% roughly for 30-year fixed rate. It has been for a few days. How's the market, y'all? What are you seeing out there? Potential? Are we in a dangerous situation? Is it your clients ask, is there a bubble? Is there a shift?
No.
Yes, no? I hear both, yes and no.
It's not a bubble.
It's not a bubble, that's a strong word.
Yeah, it's a strong word.
I think I was talking about in the coffee talk with Bobby, the first time when I was a brand new agent, a parent of one of my clients asked me if there was a bubble coming, and I had no idea what he was talking about. So I just said, I don't think so. I haven't seen any bubbles anywhere. And I had to go ask around what that was. So I wanted to run through a couple of things with you. There's a lot of data in your hand, and I know it, again, looks overwhelming at first, and I wanted to show you what all this means. So on the back page, well, there's a couple of things. One, I think one of the things that people look at us to do is to try to predict the future, right? You say a lot of times, well, I don't have a crystal ball. But if you look at just data trends, you can kind of predict the future a little bit, or at least you can show them where you're getting your intel. And so this is something that I've tracked for a long time that looks at the number of active properties by month. So this is residential, so that's now single family and condo. I went back and tried to update that as far back as the early 2000s. But there's if you look at kind of what this means is, for instance, in 2002, that says 3826, so 3,826 homes on average in a given month in 2002 is how many choices there were, right? So these are choices for buyers. So choices went up a little bit and then they went down. The lowest number of choices was in 2005 for about 3,400 choices. That's the fewest number of choices that buyers have had, at least since 2002. I don't know what the choices were before that, but in 2005, they were the low point. In 2006, they went up. The market was still kicking butt. 4,000 choices. In 2007, any given month in 2007, there were about 5,200 choices. This is all Davidson County. And then in 2008, there were 6,485 choices. Right? So from 2005 to 2008, you almost doubled the number of choices. Does that make sense? So then, I'm just going to flip back and forth a little bit. This is number of closings. So this is the actual chosen ones. So 2005, and there's both of these are on the very back page, kind of on top of each other. 2005, you had the number of houses that were picked were going up, 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 up. And then in 2006, they peaked out at 1,222. That's the average number of closings per month. So in 2006 here, you started going up, and you had more and more inventory for 2 more years. The closings started going down. So in 2007, the average number of closings per month was about 1,000. 2008, 779, and then I think this is what they call the bubble. Doesn't look like a bubble, but that's what a bubble looks like on paper. So if you were looking at this data 2 years, 3 years ahead of time, you probably could have predicted what was about to happen, right? The number of choices are going up. You got a lot more choices, and the number of closings are going down steadily until you get to the bottom here, 2010, and then there was a first-time homebuyer tax credit. Now, interestingly, the actives, some people in 2009 just gave up. They were just, come on. The number of active inventory went down a little bit because they just gave up. They just said, I'm not even going to bother trying to sell my house anymore. But if you look at where we are today, the number of choices has gone up a hair. At a low point in 2016 with 3127, and it's just gone up just a little bit. In 2018, the average number of choices was 3,400. So inventory is increasing, but if you look at that, that is still 3,472 is only 30 more homes than the low point in the last 15 years. That's kind of crazy, actually. So then same thing with the number of closings. The number of closings, the high point was in 2006. Things were going gangbusters. You had 1,222 closings every month. Now you're at 1,140. So that's going up a little bit. So if this starts going up over the next 2 years, and this, I take that back. If this starts going down in the next 2 years, and then this starts to go up, should we be worried then?
Yes.
Then you can be worried. And worried probably is not the right term, but you can advise your clients accordingly. Hey, don't write that offer for $25,000 more than the list price, because here's what's going. Is this helpful?
Yes.
This makes sense. It's kind of an easy way to not just speculate and feel like you don't know what somebody's talking about when they ask you if there's a roll coming. So that just shows them overlaid on top of each other, so that's kind of interesting. You can see the correlation. So there you go. How's the market? So East Nashville, by the way, had a really good year in East Nashville. Area 6. I just did a little chart showing who was in the lead in both listing sides and buyer sides. And so Village had 545 closings, MLS closings in Area 6. Who here is in the East Office? Good work, y'all. Keep it up. So you beat out every single other company over there. And that's the order of that. So I'll send that chart to Tyler, and he can pass it around. So you can show that to any sellers if they're considering anybody else. Let's see here. What do we got? So tip of the week, real quick. If you are sending, who has their own Emma account or Constant Contact or one of those, right? So when you send out newsletters, send out a coming soon, do you just send it out to 100 agents, or do you send it out to all 5,000 agents, or who do you send it to? You try to streamline it. Some people streamline it. So we have a platform now that we can pull a list, a custom list. So let's say we're in 37212 right now. Okay, so I'm looking at Barbara. She has a listing coming up on Belmont Boulevard, and it's $1 million. So she could send that to all 5,000 agents, and agents will get it in Spring Hill, they'll get it in Franklin and Brentwood, and they'll probably unsubscribe from her list. So if she ever has a listing out there, they're probably not going to get it then, right? So instead, why don't we pull maybe from, 750 to $1.3 million, any agent that has actually sold a house in 37212 in the last 12 or 18 months. And so we can give you one of those lists. I've got access to that. Colin has access to that. I'll make sure, and then Ashley has access to that. So I'll make sure they know how to use that. So if that's a tool that you need, that you want, we're happy to provide that to you. I had somebody recently that I gave one of those to, and they had it coming soon. They called the first 5 people in the list, and they sold it. before it ever went on the market. So, agent networking. What's up?
Does that come as a CSV file that I can just import?
Yep, we can give it to you as a CSV file and you just upload it.
Okay.
So, cell numbers, and email addresses of other agents. Is that helpful? Yeah. Good. You like that? Ooh, that's applause worthy. Good. All right. Real quick, coming soon. We're going to dive into this for a second. Who's got a coming soon? So here's the deal. You've got a piece of paper in your hand, and I told you that we would do this last week. I think there are only 6 or 7 on there. Maybe 9? 6? You need a pen?
I need a copy of that.
You need a copy of that? Let's see. We may or may not have more. You want?
Thank you, dear.
That's okay. So if you want, we're going to start printing these out. I don't want to completely devour the trees, but I think it's helpful to be able to walk away with something. So we're going to start printing these out. If you want it to be on the printed copy, just make sure that it goes in there, ideally by Monday night. If you print it out Tuesday morning. Huh? How do you do that, Hunter?
VillageComingSoon.com.
I used the app this morning early.
You used it.
That's how I got on the list.
That's how you got on the list. You did it.
My first.
First time. How was it? Was it exciting? Okay. All right. So let's see. Coming soon. Who's got one?
Thank you, and it's about time. I started pulling my weight. Instead of one, I thought let's just do 2. The first one is on Springfield Highway, so it's Davidson County. I believe it's a Nashville mailing address. Right before you go up the hill to Ridgetop. It's in an area of homes. It's a lot. It's a vacant lot. When I first met the guy, he said it's 2.5 acres, not much in the flood zone, but a little bit. The whole thing's in the flood zone, and it's just dirt. But it's perfect for a convenience store, a couple of little strip centers, storage warehouse buildings. If you have a customer that's looking for a place to put a business in the gateway to Robertson County, it'd be a good listing. I'll be glad to help you out with that. Lastly is over on Lancaster, which is right parallel to 440. It's I guess it's called Ackland Park. I'm not sure exactly what you would call that location, but it's a perfect fixer, 1925-ish cottage. When the right person walks in, they're going to go, wow, I want to redo this house. And it's got an apartment, a detached garage in the back that the current tenant has had tenants in it since he bought the property. Don't know exactly what he gets per month, but I'm going to see him this afternoon at 1 o'clock. And so a couple of agents are going with me. If anybody else would like to tag along, I can't take 10 people, but a couple of 3 would be fine. Thank you.
Good work, Doug. Brent, you have one, or Russell? Katie?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I've got 800 Fairwind Avenue coming on the market. We're probably going to hit around the first week of February. It's a great little cottage style home. The interior has a really cool vibe to it. There's wood beams, really cool doors, hardwood floors. It's a great little starter home. We're going to hit the market at $254.9, and again, probably like the first week of February. So if you want to get in and see it, you're more than welcome to. Just give me a buzz. I put some pictures on Facebook yesterday. Please don't share those because they're not professional pictures, but at least you get an idea of what the interior looks like. But
Hey,
sell it. Let's sell it.
thanks for that. The mic is not as much for us as for the people watching abroad.
Yeah. But that's Fairwind. So sell it for me.
Good work.
Who wants it?
I'll talk loud though.
Okay, here we go. 2102 Ridgecrest Drive. It's a Inglewood home, 1-level ranch, 3-bedroom, 1 bath. It's got refinished hardwood floors and it's painted throughout. It was investors who were going to do some updates and then decided not to, and they're staying in Austin. So it's your chance to pick one up that needs some love, but it's definitely move-in ready for sure. And then you could do some nice cosmetic updates. Huge den area with a fireplace that walks out to a cool patio area. Great little quiet street, real cute. Coming on tomorrow at $289.9.
What's the bed to bed?
So just over 1,300, 1,316 square feet.
How many bedrooms?
3-bedroom, 1 bath.
Good work. Katie, Russell, Shane, Yep. Shane, go get that microphone. You know you want it.
You don't need it.
It's a lot of pressure, man. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house in Bellmead Lakes, and it's got walls, it's got a roof. It's a fixer-upper. The lot's nice. It's a little under a quarter of an acre, so it's good to go. It's ready. I mean, you know, it's nice. It's a house.
So we've got a cool development coming on the corner of 10th and Scoville in Buena Vista. Last week I talked about there's 10 Airbnb available homes. They're sold. Two people bought 5 each, so it's pretty quick. But I do appreciate a lot of people from the meeting asked for information, so we got more. 69 condo project, 69 unit condo project, studios, 1 bed with a den and 2 beds. Mix. We have the floor plates I can show you, and floor plans are coming right now. And they're also all downtown codes, so the entire building is available to go short-term rentals. It'll be 3,500 square feet of of lower floor retail, ground floor retail, and we are putting together. I say we, Brian and I are putting together kind of a presentation that we can send out. We're not really sharing this with the masses, but this is a private little, a little event here. It's a private mass, so you're the first ones to hear about it. That we're going to market this as a short-term rental project. So 69 units, studios, 1 bed with a den, and 2 bed units, ground floor retail, and completion is set for early 2021. We're going to break ground here March probably. So it's 10th and Scoville, directly across the street from our current development called Ludlow Row. Half the building's 5 stories, and it drops down to 3 stories with some surface parking. So just come find Brian or I, or shoot me an email, or Brian Solstice an email, and we can share with you. But we're not, we suspect that these are going to be sold to a handful of people, investors that are looking specifically for this type of product, similar to the 10 that were down the street.
What was the price?
So will be in the little presentation. So we're tweaking that right now. But ballpark, the studios are going to be, what did we end up, Ryan? Yeah, I think 289 for the studios, 359s for the 1 plus, and then low 4s for the 2 beds. Low to mid 4s and 2 beds. That's in the works, is what she's asking. If we have one management company, that's in the works as well in terms of who's going to manage the whole building. Likely, if it depends on how many people end up as owners. We'll maybe put a management company in front of them that they can work with, or they can all get together collectively and come up with someone. But at this point, we're just being told, let's move the freight, is actually the quote that was told to us. So we are doing that, and you guys are the first to hear about it. So get at us.
Good work. Thanks, Shane. Shane Talent. Go ahead.
So we have 2 coming soon. One is in East Nashville. It's 1923 Pinehurst. It's a 3-2. Really, really cute. Great yard. It's .40 in acreage. We're still working on the price, but it'll probably come on this week. And then we have another in Madison that is a 3-2. Cute cottage, great backyard, gated, and we're still working on the price for that one. But if you're interested, just email Erica or I, and we'll get you the details and the pricing once it's finalized.
Awesome. So 1923 Pinehurst in East Nashville, you said?
Correct.
And then
212 Roosevelt Avenue.
212 Roosevelt Avenue in Madison. Good work. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I have 2 lots that are going to be listing today. They won't go live on the market probably for a week or so. One's in Buena Vista, zoned R6, and the other one is in West Nashville. It's zoned R8 right now.
That's your 2 lots, one in Buena Vista R6.
Both have tear downs on them.
Good work.
Between 2 and under probably for each. We're going to nail that down later today.
I like it. I like all the activity. What else? All right. VillageComingSoon.com if you want to add any more. Today they will be on next week. So Ashley's going to send this out to the village, to everybody, and then put it on the village exclusive Facebook page. And then if you want to add one, we can, even on our off weeks, I think we can still add these on the village Facebook page, just so that you're aware of what's going on. Hey, Hunter.
All right. Getting to the fun part of the presentation here for me. So it's like 2 weeks exactly since we started here. So we've been busy learning a lot. We've met with a lot of the experienced agents who've been here a long time, a lot of the newer agents that have been here a shorter time, staff getting our heads around kind of how Village has historically operated, and then kind of thinking through how we'd like to operate moving forward. So we spent a ton of time over the last 2 weeks doing that. In addition, we sent out a survey to everybody and got a lot of great feedback on what do we need to know, like what are the things that maybe walking into Village, like it's important for us to know, what's been going on in the last year, last 5 years. Then also, what are your ideas that can make Village the best real estate brokerage company in Middle Tennessee? So we got some feedback. We touched on this last week, but it was pretty consistent. Better marketing, more brand consistency, and so we're going to dive into that in just a few minutes and have some great things to show you that we think will make some big improvements there. Stronger communication, so just like, hey, we want to know what's going on. We hear maybe from someone else something that's going on in our own company. So just be more transparent, more out in front about what's going on. So we are working on kind of streamlining our communication and make sure it's regular and consistent, and we're around to answer any questions that you've got. And then the last one is reducing costs to agents. Costs are important. Costs went up for you guys at Village last year, so that was kind of fresh on a lot of people's minds. So a couple of things that we've done out of the gate to address the cost side is we had 6 offices, and we're moving to 4, so the 12th Avenue office, that building's getting sold. And then the Nations office, where we just, I think, had 2 agents there, we're closing that office, and so we'll have East Nashville, which, as we saw earlier, is doing great, and really, I think, has the potential, was currently kind of doing really well in that market, but has the potential to grow and own the east side of town. It's far enough away from 21st, it makes sense. If you've got your business and life in centered around East Nashville, that's a long way in the middle of the day to operate from 21st. So we feel like that office makes a ton of sense for Village. We've been there a long time, got inroads in that market. Franklin, we're committed to Franklin. It's a long way out to Franklin. It's a big market. There's lots of great homes and people out there. We've got an awesome office. If you haven't been out there, I really encourage you to go. We were super impressed with the team, the agents, the office. It's got a great feel. And Cool Springs, Williamson County, I mean, we've got a great opportunity there. So we're committed to that. Hillsborough Village, obviously. And then Wedgwood, Houston, we are keeping that office. We've got some interesting big new developments that are going to be happening right around that office, using that as a sales center. We are going to reduce the full-time staffing at that office and cover it a couple of days a week just to make sure it's clean, it feels good, but we don't have the number of agents yet or the activity yet to really justify having a full-time staff person there. So that's one of the changes we've made just to kind of start getting a handle on the cost side. In addition, we've had some reorganization on the personnel side, and so one of the things just that we thought was interesting. So you got kind of your different companies locally, and they have different, like, obviously Benchmark's very different from Frederick and Clark. We're very different from Keller Williams. But we just looked at where were we kind of staffing wise? And this is really kind of towards the end of last year. We had about 300 agents, 27 people that, you know, from brokers to staff members. That was kind of our overhead. And you can see how it ranks on the far side, 11 to 1 in terms of agents to staff. And so that's just where we were. And so over the last couple of weeks, we've refocused some things. Some of these folks were in Solve. They weren't as out front with us. Some of them were, we've reallocated how Village Assist works, and we'll get into the details of that later. But we're now more in line, kind of in the middle with our industry peers. And so what that's allowing us to do is on the cost side, you can kind of see where people are, monthly fee and then transaction fee, or what we call the base commission now. You can see kind of how we stack up with our peers. And so one of the changes we're rolling out, you know, today moving forward is we're going to drop the transaction fee back down to $150, which is more in line with our peers, going from $200 to $150 on the transaction fee. And so we feel like that is where we need to be in the market, and it's also kind of listening to what you guys are telling us is a frustration, and so we want to respond to it. Any questions?
So closings going forward from today on?
From today on, yes. All right. We touched on the marketing and the branding being a big focus for us, and something that you guys wanted to see. Our opinion, and a lot of people, you know, just kind of getting it a little more simple, a little more streamlined. A lot of feedback that we got is like, hey, let's not lose the great brand that we've had in the past, and you know, Village is you got your lighter and your darker, and so to the extent we heard you guys and feel like, even though we kind of went in like, hey, maybe we go away from the purple, like there's a consistent feedback. It's like, hey, let's kind of embrace it. That's our corner. Like, you've got blue, you got companies that are blue, you got companies that are red and black, you got black, like nobody else is purple. Let's just work within that and make it a real sophisticated, darker, you know, purple. Keeping it clean, spacious, less is more. That's kind of been our designer's approach. Oh, this is fun. So you can kind of see what else is out there, you know? So again, you've got different colors, what we've historically been there. I would say, like, a lot of this isn't very clean, you know, not to the opposite of that. Again, central. The ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so the necessary may speak. Is that clear that in? So again, less is more. Excellent design plays a major role. Brand consistency is important. Consistency in messaging. All that to say, like, we are more than a logo and a sign, right? So our best brand's going to be like us out there in front of our clients, helping them. Like, the logo and the sign is just a small part of who we are, but we want it to be excellent. All right, we've spent a lot of time. We want your feedback. So here's how this is going to work. We are not designing this by committee, right? That's a terrible way to design something. But we've come up with like 4 different options. And we like all of them. And we want your input. Like, that's important. It's your company. And so we want your feedback. But we don't want this session to turn into, like, you know, everybody's comment. Yeah, we'd rather not, like, take pictures and tweet it out. Let's kind of give us a minute and let's refine the best one. But we do want your feedback. And so we're going to have another form posted you can go to kind of put your comments, vote on your favorite one, and then that'll be a great way to collect all that feedback.
That's going to come out after the meeting.
Are y'all ready?
Without further ado, please.
Okay. Yeah, so here's the deal. So there's 4 of these. There's 4 of these, and you're only going to see one at a time. Alright? So the first one. So that is a deep purple. It looks kind of black maybe on the screen. And we'll have some samples of that purple, like that is a sign, a business card, very clean, kind of pays homage to the original hand-done logo in the top right. That's it, in front of a house.
Is it?
John, where's that?
Is it darker than this? How much is that? Is it darker than this purple right up here? Is that our
Yeah, it's darker. It's a little bit darker than that.
Okay.
And like I said, we've actually got it printed on a sign. We can. It's just a different design, so I didn't want to confuse it today. What's that? It's a vibrant. Yeah, it's a vibrant dark. Kind of an eggplant, maybe.
Yeah.
Just a dark, rich purple. You'll see. You'll like it. All right, another design number 2. The house is a little more prominent, centered versus kind of the left justification of the first one. Business card on the right. There it is in the wild. All right, a third option. Again, left justified, the lowercase, that is the Helvetica New York City subway font, kind of a classic, really simple. Same listing. And then this 4th one is a play on the same one. The period just being like, hey, that's it, Village Pier, we're here to stay. Like, our designer really thought that resonated with kind of what we're about. Gives it a little bit of a word mark, so it's not just lowercase village. Here they are again, kind of all together. So if you can remember like 1, 2, 3, 4, that'll be helpful in the voting. Don't want to know right now. Don't like make a pitch for which one you like. Question?
Yeah, is it a shiny or a matte finish, and also how scratch proof do you think these are?
It'll be like a standard sign metal insert that just goes with our existing frames, so it's not a whole lot of brand damage to change them.
Right, so it's kind of shiny then?
Yeah.
Is it shiny though, or is it?
We'll show. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a rider at the top. So it's our existing frames that have the full sign with the rider at the top. So that could say pending or sold or.
That's the rider right there.
Yeah.
Are they all the same purple?
They're all the same purple. Yeah, that's the rider, kind of that top.
Can
4
we
to
see them in
6
front of the
inches.
house again, Mike?
Yeah. That's Andy's.
Yep.
Barbara, you're not voting for the agent.
Names of the
It's our kind of the Mount Rushmore of village stuff, you know? Bearhead, Barbara, Jane.
Beth is on the other side.
Yeah.
So that one, the rider is where the only place that logo is.
Yes.
Oh,
On this one? Yeah, so the watermark's up in the rider there. Correct.
Is that on all the riders?
No.
No.
We put it on some just to show, or the designer put it on some to show you what it could look like. On this one, obviously, Mike put it on the sign
On the car?
by itself.
Oh, on the side.
So you obviously wouldn't want to have it on a rider and a sign.
those are so close.
One, and that's it. Okay.
I'm not sure on the perspective because the previous one where you showed, I know some things, at least from this angle, look like they got kind of squished this way. Current size, because it does look like it's longer to me, and so I just.
It'll be the current size.
They barely fit
yeah.
the car as they are, so I just want
Yeah.
to that.
So current size, current frames. So we're not trying to go outside the norms of real estate signs and do like a 4-foot sign or anything like that.
At the time there was, go ahead, finish.
Go ahead.
Finish up, yeah.
Okay, so one of the things, they're beautiful, by the way. I love them. I love the simplicity. Couple things when we went through this iteration last time, just for consideration or thought, was potentially putting the agent's information at the top. Obviously, could be in the rider, but in the sense of making the agent the hero versus the brand, the logo, and that the agent is, because we're reading top to bottom, that's the first thing they see. If they want to call on this, the brand is just, you see that. Then it's really more about it. Everybody puts the agent name, it seems, at the bottom. So maybe that as a consideration to the program or possibility. And then the other thing is just being mindful of how much information is close to the ground. When the grass grows up, it's the first thing that's covered. So obviously, if it was the company name, phone number, we're not as necessarily objectionable to that. I mean, if you work to get the listing, you want the call, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. That's why we did kind of raise the name of the agent and the number and separate it from the company number, which is down at the bottom. But that's definitely some good feedback.
Just because I know there's a lot of, I mean, these are a big part of our business, the logistics of how do you get them in the ground, what can you step on, do I have to hammer the top if the ground's tight? It's like having that little ledge there at the bottom, I think really helps stepping in, especially with ladies and heels. So just as a consideration. And then it looks like in this design, and I'm not opposed to it, just as again for consideration, is one phone number for the agent. No websites, no, if they want any extra juice, it goes on the rider. Is that kind of the thought in theory?
Yeah, I think, again, less is more. People will Google and find, it's not that hard to find listings these days. And so we really want the agent name, the company name, and the cell phone number of the agent being the most prominent.
If you think real quick like a consumer as opposed to an agent for a minute, and think about how many email addresses you've emailed people or websites you've gone to as you're zooming by a place. Usually doesn't happen. So usually what you'll do is do the address or call the number, and we feel like that's just in talking to a lot of people. Again, less is more, and whatever that quote said before about simplicity was a good quote. It's good.
It's simple.
The ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary so that the necessary may speak.
Last time we did a sign. The last time we did a sign update, we were able to exchange the same quantity.
Yeah, so getting into I've got signs, how do I do it? We haven't gotten there, but we're going to make it easy. We'll help. We don't know exactly what that means yet. Just been focused on a lot of other stuff, but aware that that'll be an issue. Barb.
Well, I hear Ted asking about customizing the rider, so that's another thing that we kind of struggled with is there were the white riders and then there's purple riders and
Great, yeah.
So what are you also saying?
Yeah, we will have some pretty strict standards around the riders. So color and some approved messages like for sale, sold, pending, coming soon. Those four. Dave.
This is kind of a suggestion in the interest of the simplicity motif. It looks really good as one piece, and I found that when it's set up that way, it's more durable. I've noticed in time that I'm always having these rough-looking riders because they get bent and they scratch or they print them in such a way that it's solid. It's printed solid, but you got this white border around it. So I know this is not as much of a design suggestion as a structured thing, but I would love to see a one-piece sign where you could put a soul topper on it. Just to keep it simple, durable, and look good.
Like a slide on rider.
Yeah.
Slide ons, I think, last or this year.
So I think that's a good feedback. So we've got a lot of this type of frame that's out there, and so we wanted to speak to that first. We could also approve a sign that's more of a one piece that has the sole kind of this exact look built into a non-rider sign.
That'd be great.
Okay.
In regards to that, I mean, I've done this with mine, like those frames that we got when we switched out signs, like they had it. Like mine they weren't really very durable to begin with, and like I'm on last legs on those, so I'm hoping that we come up with something, even if it means paying more, that
They work
durable,
better.
strong, and last on.
So good news and bad news. Good news is we've got like 200 of those in a storage facility for some reason off Charlotte, so I can get you another frame. But and maybe long term again we want to have an approved design that makes sense for you like to use, just as long as the look and feel is consistent. That's what we're going for.
Virginia had just mentioned the last time that we had revamped, the little house logo was actually going from like a little sketch to a more clean, same idea, but clean. And if you're going to dark purple, that white might want to stand out a little bit more if you go in that direction to maintain the little house logo.
Yeah. So that's great. Great feedback. The original logo back 22 years ago when it so this is kind of a throwback to that. It was a hand sketched logo, and so a few years ago when they kind of cleaned it up and digitalized it, our designer kind of just really appreciated the old kind of more watercolor look to it, and so that was kind of the direction he went. Okay.
In addition to our signs, we also have available little logo boxes and stuff on my website and all of my communications that have the Village House and Village under it, because Trek would get on my case if I didn't. But it's also good. I mean, it's just good. Is that all part of this? And are we going to go back to the old style house on those?
Yes, so good question. So you can see there's some versions that the house is not a part of it anymore.
Okay.
And so that's part of what this feedback process is. Like we want that feedback. Some of it, the house is more prominent and feels more like a traditional logo with the house and the word kind of together. And so again, that's what this feedback's for. But our plan is whichever new branding we end up going with, that'll be rolled out across all of our digital and print media.
So you said suggesting that all of business cards is white?
Yes. So go back to the business cards real quick. Yeah, so here's some. Yeah, so we'll have like, again, one business card type with Village. And that's not necessarily it. There's some different options there. But and kind of depending on which one we go with, that's the all lowercase without the houses. And that's a little bit of a mixture. So.
What was the feedback on capitalized versus not?
So the feedback
The feedback from the designer?
Yeah, like we have the Village up here, which is all.
Yeah, so this is pretty similar. This type is pretty similar to what we've. You can go to the website right now, and so it's a cleaned up version of that with the old houses back to it. So, I think our designer liked all 4 of these, and so just wanted to give some different options. So the feedback really is what we're looking for now.
But like when we send out emails and stuff, I kind of go back and forth between putting village in all caps.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just wondering, is that talking about consistency? What that looks like, and does I'm not a designer, but I know that I feel differently looking at all caps versus.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I'm scared alone. I like the boldness. I really do love the village with period because that's just.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. It feels complete to me in some sense. I don't know how I feel yet, but just
Yeah. Somebody back there, jump in.
When you compare the Jane Anderson sign to the John Fairhead, the agent information is slightly larger.
Yeah, you're right.
Will that happen?
We'll go with the more bold, larger for all 4.
There's some additional, like once we kind of get a general consensus, there'll be some additional little tweaks just to make sure it's totally dialed in and looks good. And we'll obviously get samples printed. We're going to stick it in the yard and let the grass grow.
For the tail,
Go ahead, Dave.
for our feedback, which
Yeah.
we will certainly offer. Will there be a reminder of these? Because I know
It'll be in the feedback. Yeah. It'll be on the.
Well, in fact, it'll look just like this. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll have everybody's names. Remember, you're not voting for the agent. David,
Well, on his question about capitalized or not, or the period, when I'm speaking about village as like a proper term, it gets a little tricky if it's not capitalized because it's not called Village Real Estate Services, technically, it's just village. And so being capitalized, I'm able to it looks more clear that I'm speaking of a company. Whereas if it's not capitalized, or there's a period, if we're talking about it in context of writing, it's a little trickier because then there's a period.
Yeah.
Just a little trickier.
I think we're in the.
Capitalization helped that.
Yeah. And think about too, like how other places beside the sign, how will the logo be used? You know, if we sponsor a race, if you sponsor a golf hole at the tournament, you know, like how will that show up and be consistent?
Two things off of what Lynn was saying. Thank you so much for making our names more prominent. And it's not about size, it's about the visual impact. Because when we did do this last transition, the signs look beautiful, but there's such a wash. If I'm looking for somebody's name, I have to drive by and stop and there's traffic. I really can't catch the name. So however you do that, thank you. I appreciate that. And also, I had a question here about will our photographs be on the signs?
So that would be great to get some feedback on. Our thinking is no. But if you feel strongly about that, and enough people feel strongly about it.
What's the planned rollout timeline for this?
So ideally, we'll have some clarity into the week, this week, maybe even sooner, and so then we'll start rolling it out on in the next few weeks. So like really soon.
Okay, so I know everybody's still kind of thinking this. You said you got that purple printed on a sign somewhere?
Yeah.
Can you let us see it without it confusing us here? Because it just looks black to me.
Yeah, I'll bring it up here after the sales meeting so you can kind of see it, and there's some decent light today.
Then we might feel a little bit differently about it. 'Cause right now it just looks black.
Right.
It's a different design. The confusing part, it was a very early iteration that we just had printed, so don't pay attention
The
to
design
it.
doesn't matter, it's the color.
Right,
and
it's
way
the
it
color of the
looks.
sign, yeah.
You may have a different feel about it when we can see it than just looking straight like this.
It's not black.
So the main big difference is the old logo being incorporated into the new scheme. And then also on the cards, I noticed that it said partner. Is that only for distinguished, high-producing folks, or is that everybody?
So that's going to be the partnership model that we have. We're going to be rolling out, which So the partnership, we talked about the partnership model that we're gonna be rolling out, that's another couple weeks. And, so that was just, he just put that could say realtor, it could say, affiliate broker. I think we haven't dialed that in yet, but yeah. So I think, the difference, obviously these two are similar up top and these two are similar at the bottom. The all caps is what you have now. These are just, if you look at the letters visually, they look a little bit different. And so
the other piece is the, I believe like, this is purple, the dark purple. And it doesn't, it reads black on the screen, but if you had your business card in your hand, there'd be a touch of purple, and then the text of your name and all of this is black. So again, honoring the purple, having that a piece, but not having it take over. Boy.
Hey, would you mind sending out when you send out this communication, sending out the color code so that we can hold that up on our computers to look at it?
Sure.
I just want to say one thing about the phone number. I love it because they just might call you and give you a chance to sell your house more.
Yeah.
Or get a showing or take it to the next step.
Yeah. We definitely have the agent phone number prominent right next to the agent.
And I think we're really fond of the period, just because people are going to ask questions. They're going to want to know, what's the period all about, Jane? So, I mean, I like it.
this is where you stop looking for a realtor.
Yeah. This is it.
Stop the game.
The period, people have strong feelings about the period.
Well, I like the second, I don't even know if it's an option, but what Ted said about, is it a possibility that the agent name and number could be at the top, then village, and the village number under that? Like, when I share communications with people, it feels so much more logical to say, Sarah Jane Nelson, here's my cell number, village realtor, here's the village number. So separating those just makes it more clear. Like, if I didn't know, I'd be like, what are all these different numbers? Like, why do we have different numbers?
I think on all of these though, it's pretty clear like which number is the one.
I'm talking about putting the agent at the top, if that's a possibility, so that it's like a connection of like, this is who you're calling, this is who they're with, and this is their business. Like, it feels logical.
Yeah, I think there are some Trek firm guidelines and requirements that will work. I'm not. Yeah. Well, put that in your feedback for sure. And
Curious, because it looks a little grayer, different color for the office number, is that in place?
yeah, so the agent number is bold and the firm number is not bold.
On the business card, the less is more is great. Maybe the purple will make a difference, but those business cards all would just seem so boring. So instead of being refreshing and simple, and again, maybe the purple makes a difference, but I just want to throw that out.
Too boring. All right.
There's space to draw pictures if you want to draw. We'll do a little doodling.
Yeah, or to make a note like, hey, we looked at these 3 houses, these addresses. Yeah. And again, we're trying to elevate our, you see a lot, when we went back and saw those signs, you got a lot of people with funky, in our industry, with funky business cards and pictures and kind of the.
They also have bad hair.
So we're elevating the game a little bit. We want to be like the boutique, locally owned, high brand. That's our corner.
Really?
Okay, I like the sleek and cleanliness aspect of the business cards. Is that the only thing you're not putting people's pictures on it? Because I'm a very visual person, and so aside from, I know everyone looks different, so the consistency would be way off, but if I have a if I put a card or I put one of my cards, like, I feel like as a consumer, that's just gonna get lost in a sea of cards, whereas you could be like, the guy with the beard on the card, where is that? Or the girl with the blonde hair, like, you can put everyone's pictures on there and like one filter or, you know what I mean? I'm just wondering what the thought is.
I think that's good.
Not putting pictures on cards.
That's good feedback. Like, that's not necessarily something we said. There's no way. I think if we did do pictures on the cards, there would be a standard, and it would be like just a headshot. We're not going to have like. Yeah, so we could have like a standard, and it's like, and you could have a business card that's with a picture and without, but it's the same design. That's a possibility. So definitely put that on your feedback if that's important to you.
What about for like the teams? If you wanted to put a sign for your team.
Yeah, so we will have a version that has your team, right on what. If you've got your own team cards, we'll just need to like talk about that kind of on a one-off. Again, our goal is to get as much as we can all using the same thing so that brand casts a larger shadow in the market. One other thing, I know we're going to keep doing a few more questions. There's no way like all of us are going to get our first choice, right? Like, and exactly what we want. So to the extent we can, like, let's not let this be a divisive issue. We got a lot of good stuff going on, and so I really want us to like come out of this process with hey, it may not have been exactly what I wanted, but it's still pretty cool, and I can get behind it. And so that would be what I would hope we can come out with.
Will we get new open house signs too that we can purchase?
Yeah, so right on behind this will be open house, pointers, that all of that will kind of get a refresh. Emily? Yeah, so we'll have I think it's a two thick card. It'll be have a good thickness. We'll have a standard for that as well.
Like what you're saying about the picture, what I have done is I did a design with my picture, and then I have a website, Everybody Loves Nashville, which is like a lifestyle website, but it's also my center of my brand.
Right, yeah.
Can I design the back and get it printed as long as I keep the front consistent? Like, that's what I had done before. I mean, I followed the rules and made sure the size was appropriate or whatever, the logo.
Yeah, I think if you've got like a certain thing, like a team, or it sounds like that's a special situation, let's just let's make sure we've got design standards established, and then work within those so that whatever we're doing kind of has that similar look and feel, and you're getting the best bang for that. But we can definitely work with that.
Because I say to people, oh, I have a website for fun things to do in Nashville. I'm a realtor as well. I flip it over. Like, that's an important part of what I do.
Makes sense. We don't want this to get in the way of your business, so we want to work with how you're currently doing your business.
For the card, I may suggest that that I think from a branding perspective, the consistency, or what I'm seeing like Compass and people doing, is it's taking the sign. I think is so important that it's consistent, because ultimately people think, as Zach used to say, once Parks went to a standard sign, people say you're everywhere. They don't know that it's not your listing. They just see Park signs everywhere, which is kind of what it used to be with Village, and people say, oh, Village is everywhere. So I think that from a branding perspective and how we look to the audience, it's really important. I would ask or hope that we have some latitude on cards and personally branded things, because it's not as though, like when I see a bunch of Parks cards, they're consistent, but they kind of get lost. And without the photo, it is a part of, even though I hate them, I hate headshots on cards, I acquiesced and did it. There's a reason why some of these things go forward. Doesn't even have to, but using your own email address. I see Compass, they're making them all use the .compass, which I get, like you have that choice to make that mandatory, but I hope we can still keep some latitude in personal marketing pieces that still look nice. I mean, we're supposed to all still have those things approved, in the interest that that's still a place where we can put our spin on who are and what we are as a brand. But I don't think this sign is the place to do that. So
that's great feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. So any feedback like that, please get a survey, and please take the time today. It's going to come out probably in the next 30 or 45 minutes.
So let's keep moving. Just finish up here. I know you got, and then we'll be around if you got other feedback you want to give us. So one of the big things we're going to be doing is updating our marketing flyers. This will be something you can go on the market, upload your own house pictures, and have it delivered to your office like the next day, professionally printed. And so this is the type of material that...
That's just the back page. This is just a tease.
Yeah, so that's like a, a fold open. Same thing. You can see the different styling on those.
Can we download those and print them ourselves, or is it an ordering?
There will be both. There's going to be an 8.5 by 11 option, both vertical and horizontal, double-sided, that you can, again, drag and drop, print it in-house, done. So 8.5 by 11 horizontal and vertical. And then there's going to be at least one, but probably a couple eventually. We're going to roll out with one, where it's professionally printed, nice cardstock, full bleed edge. Order it probably by midday today, and it should arrive here tomorrow. And then you just pay for the printing on that, like whatever the printer charges.
So with the current ones when we print on the machine, a lot of times they'll turn blue instead of purple, and so I'm wondering with such a deep purple, if we could just do whatever it takes to make sure that the printer can actually...
Yeah, absolutely. We'll work with that, and there's probably going to be a couple iterations of that, so it might, we might have to fake the blue for a minute, or fake the purple so it doesn't look blue to make it print correctly. So this is the site. You can go to survey.monkey.com, surveymonkey.com/R. I don't know why there's an R, but there was, /village brand. And then we'll send that out as well, but if you want to go there and provide feedback, please do. And just as Hunter reiterated, please don't put this on social media and say, hey, what does everybody think? Because we're trying to keep this internal right now just so that we can have, we don't want all these designs floating out there. So just, that's helpful for all of us, so be respectful of that. We'll try to make a decision here in short order. What are your takeaways today? Takeaways? We got a lot.
Love the market info.
Yep.
Love the market info. Good.
Yeah.
We know what a bubble is, what it looks like.
If people had a coming soon that wasn't on this list yet, will they please put it on the coming soon list so that we can control it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I wrote it.
So if you have a coming soon, so for a couple of people who talked to you about coming soon that weren't on the list, if you go to villagecomingsoon.com, just type it in really quickly, it'll be on there. If you do that in the next 30, 45 minutes, then Ashley will send out the updated list. Everybody here soon, eh?
Is that a sign?
What else? Takeaways. Dave?
So happy about the rebrand.
So happy. Good. Lots of claps. Good work. It's all about consistency. Consistency is more important than reach. And as Ted said, the more we can be consistent, especially in the signs, I promise you that you will have a bigger impact when you talk to people. Yolanda?
On your survey, you said we would be able to give more comments.
Yeah, you can give more comments. In fact, you can rate. You can do both. There's a ranking. So once you rank 1 through 4. 1 being your favorite, 4 being your least favorite, even if you still like it. And then you can. Once you do that, there'll be a ranking after that, or a comments box after that. And then we asked you to put your name on there, just because we want to be able to follow up individually. If you have some really awesome feedback, we want to come to you and say, hey, that was really smart and clever. Can we talk more about that? So we did. I don't think there's any reason for it to be anonymous. So please put your name. What else?
We're stronger together, so I got a favorite one up here, but like whichever one we choose, I'm excited to put it in the ground because we're gonna be like consistent, and that's gonna be awesome. We got a ton of awesome listings, and so whichever one we choose, like to reiterate, let's not let this be something that's like I wanted this one or whatever. They're all good, and it's gonna be big, and we all at the same time.
Yeah, internally we all have our favorites, and they're different from each other.
I do have a quick question. If you currently have a listing out there right now, and you guys switch this out, say within the next month, whatever, are we now needing to swap those signs out that are currently in the
Hurry up and sell that house.
We're gonna
Yeah, Yeah, so first step is to decide on the brand, and then we'll kind of come up with the rollout strategy. But I think, you know, I was talking to Beth, a great idea, going down if we could pull it off. It's like, you know, one day it's all the old signs, and then the next day, like, we all go out, do it at once, and everybody wakes up, it's like, oh man, everything's all done. So,
Late night party.
late night party. Sign changeover. All right, that's it. Hey, thanks for coming. We'll be around. No meeting next week. See you on the 5th.